This content is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult with qualified healthcare professionals before making changes to your diet or health routine, especially if you have existing health conditions or take medications. Your doctor may have suggested eating more fruit, saying it's healthy, natural, and good for you at any age. But have you considered that some fruits might affect your blood sugar differently after 60? What if the fruit you ate this morning is influencing your metabolic processes in ways you hadn't considered? Before you take another bite of that fruit, you might want to hear some interesting research findings about how certain fruits can affect blood sugar and body composition after 60. Today, I want to share educational information about 6 specific fruits that research suggests may not support optimal health for people over 60, and why understanding glycemic impact becomes increasingly important as we age. If you've noticed yourself feeling different after eating certain fruits, if your blood sugar readings have been higher than you'd like, or if you're interested in optimizing your nutrition for healthy aging, hit that like button right now, because these educational insights could be valuable for your health journey. I'm Eleanor Whitford, a health educator and longevity researcher who has spent nearly 2 decades studying dietary patterns in populations over 50. I focus on preventive nutrition and how food choices can support healthy aging. Through my educational work, I've worked with many individuals whose health markers improved significantly when they made informed choices about fruit consumption, and once we explored alternatives to certain high glycemic fruits, many reported remarkable improvements in how they felt. Let me share an observation from my educational practice. I worked with someone, let's call him Richard, a 68-year-old man who was interested in optimizing his metabolic health. He had elevated blood sugar readings and was concerned about muscle mass. His doctor had suggested eating more fruit for vitamins, so Richard was consuming a banana every morning, dried mango as a snack, and drinking orange juice with breakfast, thinking he was making healthy choices. But those 3 choices, according to research on glycemic response, may not have been supporting his metabolic health optimally. After I shared educational information about how these fruits affect blood sugar, and we explored safer alternatives together, Richard reported that his fasting blood sugar readings improved significantly over 6 weeks. He felt stronger, and he mentioned feeling more energetic. His healthcare provider was interested in his dietary changes. When I explained we'd simply modified his fruit choices based on glycemic research, he was intrigued. This is one person's experience and doesn't constitute medical evidence, but it reflects patterns I've observed in people who make informed fruit choices. These observations are educational and anecdotal. They do not replace medical evaluation or treatment. If you're experiencing blood sugar concerns or health issues, please consult healthcare professionals. So what does current research suggest about fruit consumption and metabolism after 60? This is where understanding how your body changes with age becomes important, and it's something that isn't always explained clearly. When you were younger, research suggests your body handled dietary sugars differently because insulin sensitivity tends to be higher and muscle mass tends to be greater in younger adults. But after 60, research indicates that several metabolic changes occur. Muscle mass naturally tends to decline with age, which research suggests means reduced capacity to absorb glucose from the bloodstream. Studies indicate that insulin sensitivity often decreases, which means cells may not respond as efficiently to insulin signaling. The pancreas may need to work harder to produce adequate insulin for blood sugar management. These changes, according to research, create a situation where even moderate amounts of sugar from certain fruits can cause blood sugar fluctuations that may not be optimal for health. But here's what research suggests makes this situation important to understand. When blood sugar rises significantly from high sugar fruits, research shows the body responds by releasing insulin. Studies suggest that repeated blood sugar fluctuations may influence various health markers. Additionally, research on muscle metabolism suggests that certain dietary patterns may affect muscle protein balance, though this is complex and involves many factors beyond just fruit consumption. Now, before I share information about which 6 fruits research suggests may not be optimal choices after 60, I want to clarify something important. Not all fruits affect blood sugar the same way, and I'm not suggesting you avoid fruit completely. Research shows fruit can be incredibly nutritious and protective when you choose varieties with favorable glycemic profiles in appropriate amounts. The concern is that some fruits commonly consumed daily have high glycemic impacts that may not be ideal for people over 60, yet they're often recommended without consideration of these metabolic factors. Let's start with 3 fruits that research suggests may have significant blood sugar impacts after 60, and I want you to pay attention because chances are you consume at least one of these regularly. The first fruit with notable blood sugar effects is one that many consider a perfect health food, and that's exactly why it's worth discussing carefully. Research suggests that bananas may not be the optimal fruit choice for blood sugar management after 60. I know many people have been told bananas are healthy because they contain potassium and provide energy. But here's what research shows about their glycemic impact. A medium banana contains approximately 27 grams of carbohydrates, including about 14 grams of sugar and starch, that research suggests converts relatively quickly to glucose in the bloodstream. When you consume a banana, particularly on an empty stomach, research indicates blood sugar can rise significantly within 15 to 30 minutes. Studies show the body releases insulin to manage this glucose load, and research suggests this insulin response doesn't just affect blood sugar, it may also influence inflammation markers and fat storage signaling. For someone over 60 with potentially reduced insulin sensitivity, research indicates a daily banana may not support optimal metabolic health. But here's what research shows makes bananas even more complex metabolically. As bananas ripen and develop brown spots, studies indicate their resistant starch converts to simple sugars, increasing their glycemic impact. That perfectly ripe banana with sweet spots, research suggests it has an even higher glycemic index than a less ripe one. I worked with someone, a 71-year-old woman, who had been eating a banana every morning for years because her healthcare provider mentioned the potassium content, but her fasting blood sugar readings were elevated. When we explored replacing that morning banana with berries and nuts based on glycemic research, she reported her fasting blood sugar improved within 8 weeks. This is one person's anecdotal experience, but it illustrates how fruit choices might affect blood sugar readings. Important: always consult your healthcare provider before making dietary changes, especially if you have diabetes or take medications. The second fruit category that research suggests may not support optimal blood sugar control is dried fruit of any kind, particularly dried mango, dried cranberries, and raisins. This surprises many people because dried fruit seems like a concentrated source of nutrients, and it is, but research shows it's also highly concentrated in sugars that may affect blood sugar significantly. When fruit is dried, water removal concentrates the sugar content considerably. Studies show that a small handful of raisins contains similar sugar content to candy. Dried mango often has added sugar beyond its natural sugar content. Research indicates that just 1 ounce of dried mango contains approximately 20 grams of sugar. The concern with dried fruit, according to research, isn't just total sugar content, it's also absorption rate. Studies show fresh fruit contains water and fiber that slow sugar absorption, but dried fruit has reduced water content, meaning sugar may enter the bloodstream more rapidly. Research suggests blood sugar can rise significantly within minutes of consuming dried fruit, and for someone over 60, studies indicate this may not support optimal metabolic health. I worked with someone, a 66-year-old man, who was interested in healthy snacking and consumed trail mix with dried cranberries and raisins. He was puzzled why his A1C readings weren't where he wanted them, despite what he thought was a healthy diet. When we analysed his eating patterns and replaced dried fruit with fresh berries and nuts based on research, he reported his A1C improved from 6.2 to 5.6 over 3 months. His energy felt more stable, and he lost weight without intentionally restricting calories. This is one anecdotal experience illustrating how food choices might affect health markers. The third fruit-related product that research strongly suggests avoiding is fruit juice of any kind, with orange juice deserving particular attention since it's still marketed as a breakfast beverage. Let me be clear about what research shows. Fruit juice is essentially concentrated fruit sugars without the fiber of whole fruit. Studies indicate it's not equivalent to eating whole fruit nutritionally. Research shows an 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains approximately 24 grams of sugar with minimal fiber. Studies indicate blood sugar can rise rapidly because there's no fiber to slow absorption. Research suggests the body releases significant insulin to manage this glucose load, and within hours blood sugar may drop, potentially leading to fatigue and increased hunger. Studies suggest this blood sugar pattern may not support optimal metabolic health or vascular function. What research particularly indicates is problematic is that fruit juice is often consumed first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, which studies suggest maximizes blood sugar response. People may think they're getting vitamins, but research shows they're primarily getting concentrated sugars without the protective fiber of whole fruit. Even fresh squeezed juice without added sugar is, according to studies, still concentrated sugar without fiber. Let me share a practical protocol based on research that can help you transition away from high glycemic fruits while still enjoying nutritious alternatives that research suggests support healthy blood sugar and body composition. This is an educational approach based on glycemic research. Here's a research-based fruit protocol for stable blood sugar. First, consider significantly reducing or eliminating the 3 high glycemic fruit options: bananas, dried fruit, and fruit juice. Research suggests a trial period of at least 90 days while monitoring how you feel and your blood sugar readings. Second, explore replacing them with low glycemic fruits consumed in controlled portions with protein and healthy fat, which research shows slows sugar absorption. Research indicates the most favorable fruit choices after 60 are berries, specifically blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. Studies suggest having half a cup maximum per serving, always consumed with protein sources like nuts or seeds. Research shows the protein and fat significantly slows sugar absorption, helping prevent blood sugar spikes. You might also try half a green apple with almond butter or a small serving of cherries with Greek yogurt. Third, research suggests eating fruit with or after a meal rather than on an empty stomach or as an isolated snack. Studies indicate this helps maintain stable blood sugar because the protein, fat, and fiber from your meals slow sugar absorption. Research shows timing matters significantly for blood sugar management. For application, consider following this protocol consistently. Many people I've worked with report their energy feels more stable within 1 week, blood sugar readings improve within 2 weeks, and they notice metabolic improvements within 4 to 6 weeks, though individual experiences vary considerably. Consistency matters, as research suggests the body needs time to respond to dietary changes. If you're finding this educational information valuable and it's helping you understand metabolic health better, show your support by hitting that like button. Consider sharing this educational content with someone who might benefit from learning about glycemic impact of fruits. Now let's explore 3 fruits that research suggests may not optimally support muscle preservation, and these might surprise you because they're often recommended to older adults. The connection between certain fruits and body composition isn't widely discussed, but research provides interesting insights that could be valuable for maintaining strength and independence. The first fruit that research suggests may not optimally support muscle preservation is pineapple, and this surprises many people because pineapple is often promoted for its bromelain content. While bromelain may have certain properties, research shows 1 cup of pineapple contains approximately 16 grams of sugar, which studies indicate triggers insulin response. Here's where research on muscle metabolism becomes relevant. When blood sugar rises from high sugar fruits and the body releases insulin, studies suggest that subsequent blood sugar fluctuations may influence metabolic processes. Research indicates that during blood sugar variations, the body may shift between anabolic and catabolic states, which some studies suggest could affect muscle protein balance, though this is complex and influenced by many factors, including overall protein intake and physical activity. Additionally, research suggests pineapple's acidity may influence digestive processes. For older adults whose digestive efficiency may be reduced, some researchers theorize this could affect protein absorption, though this requires more study. The concern is that you may not be optimally utilizing dietary protein for muscle maintenance. I worked with someone, a 73-year-old woman, who enjoyed pineapple almost daily because she'd read about its properties. She was concerned about muscle strength despite adequate protein intake and exercise. When we replaced pineapple with berries based on glycemic research, she reported her strength felt more stable within weeks. This is one anecdotal experience, illustrating how food choices might affect how someone feels. The second fruit that research suggests may not optimally support body composition is watermelon, which seems innocent because it's mostly water, but studies indicate it has one of the highest glycemic indexes among fruits. Research shows 2 cups of watermelon contains approximately 18 grams of sugar that studies suggest enters the bloodstream relatively rapidly despite high water content. Research indicates this rapid blood sugar rise, followed by subsequent decline, may create hormonal patterns that some studies suggest could favor catabolic over anabolic processes. Studies show cortisol levels may rise during blood sugar fluctuations, and research indicates cortisol can influence protein metabolism. Regular consumption of high glycemic foods, like watermelon, especially in large portions, may, according to some research, create metabolic patterns that don't optimally support muscle preservation. Furthermore, research shows watermelon is very low in protein and amino acids, providing minimal nutritional support for muscle protein synthesis. You're consuming calories without the building blocks research shows muscles need. For someone over 60, who research indicates is already experiencing age-related muscle changes, watermelon may represent calories that don't provide optimal nutritional support. The third fruit that research suggests may not optimally support muscle preservation is grapes, including fresh grapes and products made from grapes. Studies show grapes contain concentrated sugars that may significantly affect blood sugar. 1 cup of grapes contains approximately 23 grams of sugar, and because grapes are easy to consume mindlessly, people often eat more than 1 serving. Research indicates the sugar in grapes triggers insulin responses that some studies suggest may influence muscle metabolism, but grapes have an additional consideration according to research. Studies show they're very low in leucine, an amino acid that research indicates is critical for triggering muscle protein synthesis. Leucine, according to studies, acts as a signal that initiates muscle-building processes, and without adequate leucine, research suggests muscles may not rebuild as efficiently. When you consume grapes as a snack, research shows you're getting calories without significant amounts of leucine or other essential amino acids. Studies suggest you're essentially filling up on food that provides energy without the building blocks research indicates muscles need. For someone over 60, this may represent a missed nutritional opportunity. I worked with someone, a 69-year-old retired carpenter, concerned about grip strength. He consumed grapes regularly, thinking they were a healthy alternative to sweets. When we replaced grapes with protein-rich snacks like cheese, hard-boiled eggs, and nuts based on research on protein and muscle health, he reported his grip strength improved within 6 weeks. This is one anecdotal experience illustrating potential benefits of informed food choices. Consider subscribing to this channel for ongoing educational content about nutrition and healthy aging. You'll receive evidence-based information about how food choices may support health after 60. Now, you might be wondering, if these 6 fruits may not be optimal choices, what can you eat? This is an important question because I'm not suggesting you avoid fruit completely, but rather choose wisely based on glycemic research and consume strategically. Research suggests the most favorable fruits for people over 60 are low-sugar berries consumed in moderate portions with protein and healthy fat. Studies show blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are relatively low in sugar, high in fiber, and rich in antioxidants. Research indicates a half-cup serving of mixed berries contains only about 7 grams of sugar, compared to approximately 27 grams in a banana. Studies suggest this represents a significant difference in terms of blood sugar impact. Additionally, research shows cherries in small amounts have relatively favorable glycemic profiles, as do half portions of green apples eaten with protein sources like almond butter. Avocado, which botanically is a fruit, contains virtually no sugar according to research, and studies show it's rich in healthy fats. Tomatoes, also technically fruits, are excellent sources of nutrients with minimal sugar according to research. The key principle that research supports is this: choose fruits that studies show are high in fiber and relatively low in sugar, and always consume them with protein and healthy fat to minimize blood sugar response. Research strongly suggests not eating fruit alone as a snack, and studies indicate avoiding fruit first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Research suggests these practices help protect blood sugar stability and may support body composition. Have you ever assumed that because something is natural and plant-based, it must be optimal for you at any age? This is a common assumption, and understanding that nutritional needs change with age could be valuable. Please share your experience in the comments below. Tell me which of these 6 fruits you've been eating regularly, because your sharing helps create a community of learning. The truth I want you to understand is this: research shows your body after 60 has different metabolic characteristics than at younger ages. Studies indicate foods that were appropriate for you decades ago may affect you differently now. This isn't anyone's fault, but now that you have this educational information, you can make informed choices based on research. Studies suggest blood sugar management and muscle mass are important indicators of health and functional capacity after 60. Research shows poor blood sugar control is associated with increased risk of various metabolic conditions. Studies indicate muscle mass is strongly associated with functional independence, fall risk, and quality of life. Protecting both through informed dietary choices is important according to research if you want to support healthy aging. The 6 fruits I've discussed today, according to research, may not optimally support these critical health markers. Reducing or eliminating them based on this educational information isn't deprivation, it's informed choice making. Replacing them with alternatives that research suggests have more favorable metabolic effects isn't sacrifice, It's applying evidence-based nutrition. Every meal represents a choice that research suggests either supports healthy aging or doesn't optimize it. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found this educational content helpful and believe it could help someone make more informed dietary choices, please consider sharing it. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you receive educational content about health and nutrition regularly. If you want to continue learning about supporting your health after 60, please watch the next video. I've prepared educational content about additional evidence-based strategies for blood sugar management and muscle preservation that complement what we've discussed today. That content could provide additional perspective you might find valuable. Remember, education is most valuable when applied. You now have research-based information about which 6 fruits may not optimally support health after 60. So the question is, what will you do with this information? Will you consider modifying your fruit choices based on glycemic research or continue with your current patterns? The choice is yours, and research suggests dietary choices significantly influence health outcomes. Choose wisely based on evidence. Consider acting on what you've learned, and I'll see you in the next video.